storytellers, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a bookish tag. Yes, it is February, and yes, it is the month of Valentine's Day, so I decided I would tackle the Valentine's Day Book Tag. As always, I will have the questions linked down in the description below, along with the original tag. So if you want to play along or see where it originated, you can do all that. But basically, it is a series of 10 questions that have bookish answers themed around Valentine's Day. So let's get started. Question 1 is a standalone book that you love, and for whatever reason, anytime I get a specific question about standalone novels, I literally can't remember any of the ones that I've read, so I tend to fall back on the tried and true, but for this one, I'm going with Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This follows Kath in her first year of college, as she sort of learns to stand on her own 2 feet. She kind of has to walk alone after having spent so much of her life alongside her twin sister. And her twin sister, Ren, kind of forces Kath to branch out, meet new people, make new friends. And that's where Kath meets Levi, who, among other things, becomes a little bit of a romantic interest. But this is a really fun book about a young writer sort of learning to find her voice as a person and as a writer. Question 2 is a dystopian book that you love. And for the life of me, even though I have a few different dystopian series and have seen a few different dystopian films based on some of these series, I actually have only read one. No, I've read 2 dystopians. One was like meh. So by default, my favorite dystopian right now is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, and I'm not upset that this is my favorite. It's really well done. I think most people are familiar with the story of Katniss, who gets selected to be part of the Hunger Games, or rather volunteers for her sister who gets selected, which is a contest fight to the death, basically, between members of different districts. Like I said, most people are probably familiar with it, but as of right now, it's the only dystopian that I can think of that I read that I would be comfortable saying is my favorite. Question 3 is a book you love that no one else talks about, and this one I'm pretty confident I have literally never seen it mentioned anywhere on BookTube, and maybe that's just because I haven't found the person who's mentioned it yet, but that is Avalon High by Meg Cabot. This is a Arthurian retelling, reimagining, if you will, and it follows our main character Ellie as she moves to a new town and starts school at Avalon High School, where she meets Will Wagner and some of his friends. Her parents are professors of Arthurian legend, and so she kind of grows up with stories of King Arthur, and quickly things take a turn for the legendary, as most of these characters are reincarnations of the Arthurian figures. This is a really fun reimagining of it. I think it's the perfect amount of like Arthurian vibes, but also teen drama vibes. Like I read it in middle school, I read it in high school, I've reread it recently, within like a couple years. So it's just one of those ones. And I'm a big Arthurian legend dork, so I'm gonna keep mentioning it even if no one else does. Question 4 is your favorite book couple, and I have a few, you know, up there book couples, but I think my absolute favorite is Simon and Baz from the Carry On, the Simon Snow trilogy. They start out enemies to romance to boyfriends, and they're both British and sassy and stubborn and just so quick-witted that they're constantly kind of playful banter is what I'm trying to describe. They banter a lot, and I just love it, and I think they're adorable together, and I think they balance each other out, which is what I look for in a couple, but they're a little bit more steamy, a little bit more passionate. I like a little bit of that in my couples, you know. What can I say? Question 5 is a book that other people love that you haven't gotten around to reading, and I want to stress that this is not for lack of interest, just I'm awful at getting around to books, and that is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Don't get me wrong, the series sounds fantastic. It sounds phenomenal. I have the whole series. I just haven't read it yet because I'm trash. Okay? I'm great at collecting books, not so great at reading them sometimes. But this follows our main character, Leia, who is sort of forced to spy from within an academy for the Empire's like elite soldiers, because her brother's accused of treason. So she's trying to get the rebel forces to help him, and so she does what she needs to do, and there she meets what's his name, Elias, who is the like Academy's most reluctant soldier, basically, and they learn that their fates are intertwined, and that's really all I know. I just know this is really, really loved. It's really popular. It sounds amazing, and I would love to get around to it this year. Honestly, it's one I've been meaning to read, and just like I said, I've been trash and not gotten to it, but not for lack of interest. Question 6 is easy enough. It is a book with red on the cover, and for this, I decided to go with The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. Question 7 is a book with pink on the cover, and for this, I went with red, white, and royal blue with that nice bright pink background. Question 8 says, you were given a box of chocolates which a fictional boyfriend/girlfriend gave them to you. And for this, I decided to go with En Salta from the Ace of Shades series by Amanda Foody. En is somebody who loves sweets. It's like canon in the books that En loves sweets to the point where like she's always looking for cookies, or she like makes them from like scratch with like a really few amount of ingredients because she like knows how to whip up cookies pretty much anywhere. So I feel like if anybody was going to gift sweets to me, it would be En. Question 9 says, you are single on Valentine's Day. What book would you read? What show would you watch? And what movie would you watch? And for this, I kind of went with the theme of like cozy sweetness for my answers. So I would read probably either Red, White, and Royal Blue or Carry On. They both have really kind of intense, swoony moments that I just, as a hardcore, hopeless romantic, I love them. I love the swoony moments, okay? I won't lie. And either of those books would deliver phenomenally. For the show that I would watch, I would hands down watch Cupcake Wars. They have a few, like, even Valentine's themed episodes, but I think of sweets on Valentine's Day. Cupcakes and chocolates galore, so I would definitely sit there watching other people come up with really delicious cupcakes that I wanted to eat while probably either eating something totally unrelated to cupcakes or at the very least cupcakes from the supermarket. And for the movie that I would watch, I think I would go with a rom-com. I don't like the serious kind of broody romances, especially in films. So I think I would go with one of my personal favorites, which is What's Your Number, starring Anna Faris and Chris Evans. They are hysterical. It's set in Boston, and it's kind of centered around this concept that our main character, Allie, finds in a magazine about like how many people you've slept with. What's your number, basically, and how if you have a certain number, you're not going to find love or whatever, you know, just the most ridiculous, like, Cosmo type column that you could read. And it kind of gets her obsessed with this. And she's trying to find, like, reconnection with old boyfriends and stuff. And lo and behold, she finds connection with someone totally unexpected. But they're just hysterical together. They both are so funny and just, like, they're a very chill, relaxed duo in general, but also as a couple. And, like, I just vibed with it. When you learn while you're grabbing an image of the movie What's Your Number for your video that it was originally a book by Karen Bosnack called 20 Times a Lady, now republished, I believe, under the name What's Your Number. Gosh, even when I'm not trying to be bookish, I'm bookish. And question number 10 is, you are in the bookstore, all of a sudden you are hit with Cupid's arrow. What new release are you going to fall in love with? And for this, I think I'm going to pick The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O, and this is a reimagining or retelling of a Korean myth or legend. You'll have to excuse me, it's been a second since I've read the synopsis, so I cannot remember anybody's names at the moment. But it follows this girl who I believe sacrifices herself in place of the most pretty girl in the village, to this like sea god or something to protect their village, keep it like prosperous and harmonious, and she sacrifices herself in place of that person. I forget why, but I believe she sacrifices herself in that person's stead and ends up in like the sea god's kingdom or something, and she gets like swept up in that world. It sounds phenomenal, and I'm not explaining it well, but I will put the synopsis down in the description so you get a better idea of it, but I'm just very excited by the concept of it, so I think that's one I'd fall in love with. But that is it for the Valentine's Day book tag. If you enjoyed this video, do let me know by leaving a like down below. What would be your go-to Valentine's Day read? What is it? Do you want the anti-romance? Do you want all the romance? Let me know down in the comments. I'm super interested to know. And if you want to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat, because it will notify you every time I post a new video, which is currently twice a week. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know what days it's going to be on anymore, but it's going to be twice a week. That I'm sticking to. So do ring it so that you get notified when I post a new video. But I will see you guys on the next one. Bye!